So today, we're going to talk about a story that became a true internet legend, the tale of the Nihilist Penguin. You know, it's one of the strangest and maybe one of the most profound stories to ever come out of the natural world. Or maybe it's just the story we decided to tell ourselves about it.
The whole mystery, really, it all boils down to this one kind of haunting question. You see a lone penguin just turn its back on its colony, its food, its entire world, and start this long walk into a desolate, empty wasteland. I mean, it's an act that seems to fly in the face of every single survival instinct.
But see, this wasn't just some bizarre clip you'd find on a nature channel. One filmmaker, he framed this penguin's journey as a conscious act of defiance. And in doing so, he turned what could have been a biological footnote into a real, lasting internet legend.
To really get this, we have to go back to the source. It's a truly remarkable scene in Werner Herzog's 2007 documentary, Encounters at the End of the World.
So here's the setup. Picture this. You're in the vast, frozen landscape of Antarctica. You're surrounded by thousands upon thousands of other penguins. And then one of them does the unthinkable. Instead of heading to the sea for food like everyone else, it turns a full 180 degrees and just starts marching inland. And we're not talking about a short, confused stroll here. This penguin was on a mission, a journey of over 70 kilometers, heading straight for these distant mountains, a barren wasteland with no food, no water, and absolutely zero chance of survival. It was, for all intents and purposes, a walk towards certain death.
And in the film, Herzog's own narration asks that simple, profound question that just hangs over the entire scene. And his answer, or rather his interpretation, well, that's what turned this from a scientific curiosity into a powerful philosophical statement.
Okay, so let's dive into that interpretation. This is where the simple story of a lost penguin becomes the myth of the mad penguin, a legend born entirely from Herzog's unique and, let's be honest, provocative artistic lens.
You see, Herzog doesn't just see a disoriented animal. He actually speculates maybe the penguin is insane, or that it has consciously chosen to reject its society. He projects this very human sense of existential dread onto this bird, suggesting it has simply had enough of it all.
So when you break it down, Herzog's thinking is really fascinating. He saw this as a potential act of rebellion, a little flicker of madness in an otherwise indifferent universe. And, it was also a direct shot at those sentimental nature docs like March of the Penguins. It was his way of saying, hey, nature is brutal and absurd, not just cute and fluffy. Now, to understand why he'd even do that, you have to get his core philosophy. It's called ecstatic truth. He believes that film can get at a deeper, more poetic truth that simple facts just can't touch. So, for Herzog, the idea of a nihilistic penguin was actually more insightful than the scientific reality.
But of course, there is a scientific reality. So let's pivot and look at the other side of the story, because it paints a completely different, but honestly an equally fascinating picture.
And this chart just lays out the two competing narratives perfectly. Where Herzog saw insanity and a conscious choice, science just sees a simple navigational error. Where he saw rebellion and despair, science sees fatigue and instinct. That really dramatic idea of a conscious choice gets replaced by the much simpler reality of an animal acting without higher cognition.
And the biologists who studied these penguins for decades, guys like David Ainley, who is literally standing there with Herzog, they confirm this kind of thing happens. A few penguins every year just get turned around and wander off. But they are absolutely firm in rejecting any idea of penguin insanity or suicide.
So what's actually going on? Well, Adélie penguins navigate using the sun and landmarks. If storms or shifting sea ice confuse them, they can get lost. And once they pick a direction, their instinct is just to keep going, stubbornly no matter what. It's a tragic error of instinct, not some deep philosophical decision.
And here's where this story becomes incredibly relevant today. Scientists now think that as climate change melts and alters the very sea ice that these penguins rely on for navigation, these tragic cases of fatal disorientation might actually become more and more common.
But the story doesn't end with the science. Oh no, because that myth that Herzog created, it took on a whole life of its own, transforming from a quiet documentary scene into a full-blown internet meme.
You can actually see the evolution right here. After the film came out, the clip slowly found its audience online.
By the 2010s, it was viral shorthand for existential dread. And just recently, it circled all the way back to science, and now it's being used to discuss the very real ecological stress that penguins are facing.
I mean, its cultural footprint is just huge. The Nihilist Penguin has starred in countless YouTube edits. It's become a mascot on Reddit threads about nihilism, which is the idea that life is without any inherent meaning, and it's even sparked serious debates about free will. It's just a testament to how a powerful story can really connect with people.
So the key takeaway here is this. The meme works because it mashes up two incredibly powerful things. You've got this stark, real footage of an animal's tragic journey, and then layered over it, you have Herzog's deadpan, profound, and darkly funny narration. That combination was just pure internet gold.
At the end of the day, this little penguin became a mirror. For so many people, it symbolized that deeply human feeling of being small and lost in a vast, indifferent universe. And having the courage, or maybe the despair, to just question the whole point of it all.
You know, whether it was a profound act of rebellion or just a simple, tragic mistake, we can't help but see a part of our own search for meaning in that lonely walk towards the mountains. We project our own questions, our own anxieties, and our own curiosity onto its journey.
And that leaves us with one final, fascinating question. The science gives us the facts. Herzog's myth gives us a feeling, a sense of meaning. In a case like this, which one sticks with us? Which one feels more true? And is the story we tell ourselves sometimes more powerful than the facts on the ground?